Yes, I have to send this to Korea now. Sorry about the phone call coming in, but I live all day to the name. Live all day. Which part I know. Send to our friends and I have to go find a Korea and I don't know how, but I will. Yeah, man, Jamaica, I'm there now, like you did ask earlier. Let me see if I can find it before I go up on the video. Hold on. One second, mama. You see me? Koreana, man. Look for you, I forgot to send a friend request. I mean, Luna done, I know Luna link that already. I have to find you. Search.
For giving you victory over these people. Because these are degenerates. They need to be wiped out. We are the good peoples. Not everything that is white is clean, Mishpaka. Let's read. But
most of the men and boys just to keep in the colony,
that's the Indians, read.
Were transported to the West Indies.
Were transported where?
To the West Indies. Aboard the ship Desire.
Desire, not our people's desire, but those people, the Europeans' desire. So, when we have brothers saying the Indians are the children of Israel, but they're the northern kingdom, those in the West Indies are from Benjamin, they don't know what they're talking about. Because a lot of folks that's in the West Indies are also Pequot Indians that were transported over to the West Indies. And those that were in the West Indies were transported over here in America. Remember, precious cargo. These people used our people to build up the country. Now, if they destroy the workers, they're back to square one. That means that they have to build the houses themselves. So they need free labor. So they were transported to the West Indies, read,
to be exchanged for African slaves.
Read on.
The Desire arrived back in Massachusetts in 1638 after exchanging its cargo, according to Winthrop, loaded with salt, cotton, tobacco, and Negroes.
Oh, great merchandise, right? Remember, Revelation says this, right? Babylon has all of these products, and on the bottom of the paragraph it says, souls of men, slaves, and souls of men. Notice, look at the order. Salt, cotton, tobacco, and at the bottom of the list, the souls of men. Slaves. Merchandise is more important, and our people are not. Let's go to our next slide.
Such exchanges became routine during subsequent Indian wars.
So just go back in history and look at the wars with the Indians, so-called Indians. And what you're gonna see is that during that time when they had wars and people were captive, they were shipped down to the West Indies in exchange for those in the West Indies to be brought up here to America. So some of you all on the conference line, maybe some of your parents, your people, came from the West Indies. But our brothers up here who are a little bit slow in understanding will say, well, you're from the tribe of Judah. And those other people are from Ephraim, and such and such. They don't know. They're making things up. Let's continue on.
Such exchanges became routine during subsequent Indian wars For the danger of keeping revengeful warriors in the colony far outweighed the value of their labor.
Read.
In 1646, this became the official policy of the New England Confederation. As elsewhere in the New World, the shortage and expense of free white labor motivated their quest for slaves.
So they had to deal with the poor of England in those days, are as indentured servants for a time, and then they're free. So they scrapped all that, and then they grabbed our people. 1645, read.
In 1645, Emmanuel Dowling, son-in-law of John Winthrop, wrote to him longing for a just war with the Pequot, so the colonists might capture enough Indian men, women, and children to exchange in Barbados for black slaves.
Let's pause for a moment. You know when it says longing for a just war? That's Dick Cheney. That's Dick Cheney, and that's Rumsfeld and them. Starting a war because they have a true intention for something else. So these people are longing for a just war with the Indians, Pequot tribe, so they can capture enough Indian men and women and children to exchange in where? Barbados for black slaves. That's your Thanksgiving for you, Mr. Pequot. Read on.
Because the colony would never thrive until we get a stock of slaves sufficient to do all our business.
All our business. This is the island of Barbados. Chapter 1. Red Indian and black Africans as slaves in Massachusetts. Read.
Massachusetts is an Indian word roughly meaning people of the Blue Hills. The original inhabitants called the hills and lakes and forest streams by names like
Quinsigamon,
Wachusett, Housatonic, Huastonic, Monadoc, Monadnock, and even Chargog.
We got the point. Next paragraph.
But even before the Pilgrims arrived in 1619, Captain Thomas Hunt, an English explorer, enticed the friendly red citizens of Cape Cod.
He enticed the families of the Indians of Cape Cod,
onto his ship.
Remember we read Sirach where it says about the people with backbiting words and slick words and don't invite smooth words. There you go. Enticed them onto his ship, read. In
1614, and then tried to sail back to Europe with them.
So now he wants to go back to Europe with them. Never trust thine enemy. Read.
Many were killed in the struggle, and at least 27 poor, silly savages were sold into slavery.
So they sold them into slavery. Continue on.
By the time the Mayflower arrived carrying England's unwanted, the Indians shunned contact with outsiders, preferring to retreat inland. The Pilgrim Fathers brought 18 white indentured servants from England in 1621 to provide the required labor in their quest for religious liberty.
So the Europeans had the rejects of their society, the criminals, those who were in debt, those who had owed the creditors, and sent them over here to pay off the debt. So America was founded with a bunch of thieves, lowlives, and so forth. So it shows that our people, instead of fighting them, retreated back into the woods, trying to avoid them. That's peace to me. Don't you think so? Continue.
The generosity of the natives actually rescued the fragile European from certain death by intense cold and starvation.
So the same people that they wanted to enslave actually saved them. Read.
But when the work became too difficult for pious pilgrim hands...
So when the soft hands of the pilgrims couldn't manage the work anymore, read.
Indians became prime candidates as slave laborers.
So now we're going to kidnap people and make them slaves. That's your founding fathers. That's whom you're giving the honor when you say Happy Thanksgiving. Read.
As the settlement grew, white slaves could not be made to work, and the Indians were too well acquainted with the land and too spiritually averse to slave conditions to keep secured.
So the people were free. The Indians were free in mind and spirit. And they didn't want to deal with these people, so they just avoid them, fight them, or whatever the case may be. So now, the Europeans have another plan. Let's continue on.
Blacks from Africa soon followed, and in 1638, Captain William Pierce traded 15 captured Indian boys and 2 squaws.
A squaw is a female. See, they call them these derogatory words, squaw. Read.
For a cargo of salt, cotton, tobacco, and Negroes from the Bahamas.
Read.
In 1641, just 20 years after the Pilgrims landed, Massachusetts became the first of the American colonies to officially establish slavery. Her laws permitting the bondage of human chattel became the model for New England's slave system.
Read.
In 1645, Emmanuel Dowling wrote to his brother-in-law and governor, John Winthrop, I do not see how we can thrive until we get into a stock of slaves sufficient to do all of our business. And I suppose you know very well how we shall maintain 20 blacks cheaper than 1 English.
Say what now? Yeah. We're not celebrating, me I burn it. Because same thing I tell you earlier. Really? That's not what it's about, really, you know? Thank you very much. May I celebrate too? You know me one way. You alright? No, I'm a good man, you okay? Mommy, I want to tell you, man, relax now. Yeah, I talk about, man.
Servant.
How you maintain them? By don't paying them any money whatsoever and keeping them subjected. Let's continue on. By 1646,
By 1646, blacks and Indians were enslaved in the colony. Distinctions between the types of slavery and servancy in Massachusetts were blurred at first. White indentured servants, those who served a master for a specific number of years, occupied the highest level among the servant class. Even the debtors, criminals, rapists, and robbers, flushed from the dungeons of Europe, had more rights and privileges than either the African or the native.
I'm not sure if you all know this, but Australia was founded by criminals. It was supposed to be a prison territory. Whatever criminals or crimes committed in Europe, instead of wasting time and money, to build prisons or whatever it is, they just pack them in ships and send them over to Australia. So Crocodile Dundee is a criminal. Right? Let's continue on.
Ultimately, restrictions on the time of servitude did not apply to the blacks and Indians. They were slaves until their masters freed them or their death.
So they were slaves forever. The Bible says Israel can have servants that are Hebrews likewise. Hebrews can have Hebrew servants, but they're not allowed to serve forever. The Hebrew servants were to serve for a certain period of time, and then the Most High said they must be let go, they must be freed. But the Gentiles, the heathen that are not Israelites, Hebrews can take them and have them in perpetual slavery. Now, when the curses that is written in Deuteronomy fell upon us, the laws that we didn't want to keep now has been given to the Gentiles, The roles are reversed, and now we are the ones in perpetual slavery. And they are making their people work for a short time. Continue on.
The demand for wages labor required that the Puritan government establish a law that specifically approved slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Indian captives of just wars and such strangers who willingly sell themselves or are sold to us.
Now the Puritans were the pilgrims. That's what they were called. That's a church people. Read on.
Became the legal justification for slavery in colonial Massachusetts.
So wars, just wars, was just a cover for slavery, slave catching. Okay, let's fight them, grab what we can get, destroy their warriors or ship them overseas, and we're good. We got some little children that we can raise from little sizes until they are broken, and now they can serve us very well. Remember, Scripture says when Israel fought wars, sometimes the Most High would allow us to take the women and the children. That's the Bible, right? So the curses fell upon us. Now we became the women and children as slaves. Let's continue on.
Yeah, very quick.
Mm-hmm.
They actually getting ready to do the same thing even now because they're building these concentration camps for when the so-called Civil War break out so that they can capture us and use us for the very same thing again. History is actually getting ready to repeat it again.
Well, as you mentioned that, who makes up the largest in the population right now of the prison houses?
We do.
Blacks and Hispanics. Okay? And they sprinkle in a few little, Rice Krispies in there, but it's our people. Let's continue on.
Not surprisingly, just wars began to occur throughout New England where justly captured Indians were exchanged for black Africans from the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm. Black Africans from the Caribbean. Because the Caribbean was the place that they broke the slaves down, removed from them whatever that they brought with them over, break their spirit, and now they're, like you're taking a wild horse and bringing them to a stable, break them down, and then you can sell the horse. That's what they did with our people. Okay? Let's continue.
The colonial government passed several laws to tax and control their growing slave population.
Mm-hmm.
Slavery was well established in the Commonwealth and never expressly repealed. There is no Massachusetts decree which directly ends slavery. Among the laws regulating non-whites were the following: Indians under 10 years of age taken in war, and Indian women were to be sold as slaves.
Indians under 10 years of age taken in war, and Indian women were to be sold as slaves. Now, you don't have to put too much imagination into Indian women, what happened to them. If we understand how the minds of these people work, you'll see the wickedness that was done to the people.
Crazy.
Read.
So forward.
No Indian could be taught a trade except by allowance of 2 judges.
Continue.
No Indian, mulatto, black servant, or slave, could be absent from his owner's house after 9 at night without written permission from his master. No Indian, Negro, or mulatto within Boston, except the crippled, could carry any stick or cane that could be used for quarreling or fighting. They even placed a sales tax on their black slave property. Whoever shall purchase or bring into any town of this province, as aforesaid, any Negro or Negroes, for which the duty has not been already paid, shall be obliged, within 14 days after the said Negroes, being so brought in, to make an entry with the clerks of the town, where the said Negro shall be brought, and to pay the duty of £4 per head.
Mm-hmm.
Some Roxbury slave owners, Edward Ruggles and Jonathan Seaver among them, petitioned the town to prevent or punish black slaves abroad in the night at unreasonable hours. there was a limit imposed on the number of blacks that could attend the funeral of another black slave. Only one bell could be tolled for the deceased, and for only 6 minutes, and the procession must take the most direct route to the grave.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, keep reading.
In the years 1732, 1736, 1738, 1741, 1742, and almost regularly thereafter, the Boston selectmen instructed the police to patrol the main traveled Boston-Roxbury Road on Sunday mornings to inquire of loose vein persons, Negroes, why they were absent from public worship. Additionally, there were penalties for freeing a slave in Massachusetts, with the owner having to put up £50 with the town treasurer as a guarantee that the freed man would not become a public charge.
Okay.
The church had its own rules. November 21st, 1726, voted that for the future, the custodian shall keep ye rails at the altar clear from boys and Negroes sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, a debilitating racism permeated the lives of blacks in colonial times and beyond. It took a French traveler, Brissot de Warville, to see in 1788 what every black sees even in 1995. In the midst of the Holocaust of the Red Man, Governor Dudley declared in 1704 a general thanksgiving, not to celebrate the brotherhood of man, but for God's infinite goodness to extend his favors in defeating and disappointing the expeditions of the enemy Indians against us, and the good success given us against them when delivering so many of them into our hands.
So when the governor, Dudley, declared a general time of prayer, it was for the success, how they were able to overcome our people and bring them into slavery. Okay? So that's what you all are praying for when you come together, but you don't know that. Your mind is somewhere else. But the intention, the whole system is you are continuing to support a system that's against you.
Just 2 years later, one could reap a 50-pound reward in Massachusetts for the scalp of an Indian.
Imagine that. And they say that the Indians were scalping them. They're the ones who were scalping our people. Okay? Let's go to our next slide.
The model of the Indian reservation system in North America had its origins in Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm. So Massachusetts was the pioneer into creating Indian reservations. So when you think about Indian reservations, think about Massachusetts, where the Pilgrims landed, who were called Puritans, because they claimed to be the chosen people of the Most High, fleeing persecution, religious persecution in Europe, only to do wickedness on this soil, right? And so you get together with a bunch of thieves and liars, and you give thanks. Continue.
A series of legislative acts for the better regulation of the Indians established Indian settlements throughout the Commonwealth.
Remember the book of Psalms speak about they have made up laws against our people?
A white overseer was appointed and white Christianity was imposed.
A white overseer was appointed and white Christianity was imposed. Read.
Historian George F. Weston wrote that demand was great for rope maker John Harrison, what with the need for rigging for all the ships, and a new rope every time an Indian was hanged.
The demand was so high because it was hanging so many of our people that they had to keep producing more ropes. Wow. All right, let's take a look at Boston area schools. Because there are a lot of schools of so-called learning, right? And let's see the history behind these schools. Read.
Grover Cleveland School.
Mm-hmm.
The 22nd and 24th President of the United States was no admirer of black Americans in the mass. Only white Americans were capable of appreciating the greatness of the American past and to provide leadership for its future.
For its future. Because it's not our future, it's their future. Go ahead.
To Cleveland Reconstruction, the rebuilding of the South after the Civil War was a tragic scar.
So they felt pain that the South was basically in ruins. Okay? Read.
The product of ignorant blacks, among others.
And we're the ones at fault. Read.
It was a mistake, he thought, for Lincoln to have given blacks the rights of citizenship and for granting them voting rights. As governor of New York, he twice spoke in favor of segregated schools.
And you know what? That's a good thing. A segregated school is much better because we stay to ourselves and they stay to themselves. And we can learn among ourselves. We can build our own schools. We can learn our own stuff. We don't need to be intertangled with these people.
Addressing the Southern Education Society in 1903, he said, I believe that neither the decree that made the slaves free, nor the enactment that suddenly invested them with the rights of citizenship, any more cured them of their racial and slavery-bred imperfections and deficiencies that changed the color of their skin.
All right, that's all we need from that. Let's go to Native American wisdom, and we want to be able to look at the thinking of our
hay and sell it, and be rich like white men.
Read.
But how dare I cut my mother's hair?
So, your grass is free. It's everywhere. Take the free grass, turn it into hay, and sell that. Take the free air and sell it. That's coming anyway. Take the free air and sell it. That's coming anyway. Take the free water and sell that. Read.
I want my people to stay with me here. All the dead men will come to life again.
See that? Resurrection. Resurrection. Read.
Their spirits will come to their bodies again.
That's the Bible, isn't it? Read.
We must wait here in the homes of our fathers and be ready to meet them in the bosom of our mother.
Hallelujah. Let's read. Bottom.
Great Spirit.
That's the Most High, creator of heaven and earth.
I want no blood upon my land to stain the grass.
Read.
I want no blood upon my land to stain the grass.
Read.
I want it all clear and pure.
Read.
And I wish it so, that all who go through among my people may find it peaceful when they come.
Read.
And leave peacefully when they go.
That's called shalom. See that? This is the thinking. The same people they call savages had a spirit. We're not called soul brothers by accident, because we're the ones with the soul. You wouldn't find them calling themselves, the Gentiles calling themselves soul brothers.
The Onondaga, Iroquois, lords shall open each council by greeting their cousin lords and expressing their gratitude to them, and they shall offer thanks to the earth where all people dwell. To the streams of water, the pools, the springs, and the lakes, to the maize and the fruits, to the medicinal herbs and the trees, to the forest trees for their usefulness, to the animals that serve as food, and who offer their pelts as clothing.
This is like the Hebrew prayers. This is the Hebrew style of praying. That they, before they start council, they pray and they give gratitude to the Creator for all His creation. Read.
To the great winds and the lesser winds,
To
the thunderers and the sun, the mighty warrior, to the moon, to the messengers of the Great Spirit.
The messengers of the Great Spirit are who? Angels. Read.
Who dwells in the skies above, who gives all things useful to men, who is the source and the ruler of health and life. Then shall the Onondaga lords declare the council open.
That's Hebrew. That's a Hebrew lifestyle. Before we start to talk to the elders about certain situation, we give praises to the Most High for all His creation, that we are part of His creation. And you call these people savages? Let's continue over here.
Father, I love your daughter. Will you give her to me, that the small roots of her heart may entangle with mine,
That's a love story.
so that the strongest wind that blows shall never separate them?
Read.
It is true, I love him only, whose heart is like the sweet juice that runs from the sugar tree.
Now this is his speech and this is her reply. This is a love relationship between a man and his woman. Read. Songs of Solomon, you would call it, right? It's true, I love him only, whose heart is like the sweet juice that runs from the sugar tree. Read.
And is brother to the aspen leaf that always lives and shivers.
You know what is a sugar tree? We call it maple syrup. Maple syrup. May his heart runs like maple syrup. That's lyrics. Powerful lyrics. Let's jump down here to the bottom.
Our wise men are called fathers, and they truly sustain that character.
Oh, go on.
Do you call yourselves Christians?
At them time here, come on. For real? Every night? Oh.
Does then the religion of him whom you call your Savior inspire your spirit and guide your practices? Surely not.
Oh, you call yourself a Christian, but you're a hypocrite. That's what they're saying. Read.
It is recorded of him that a bruised reed he never broke. Cease then to call yourselves Christians, lest you declare to the world your hypocrisy.
Read.
Cease too to call other nations savage, when you are tenfold more the children of cruelty than they.
See that? They acknowledge the hypocrisy of Christianity. Read.
Brother, we are told that you have been preaching to the white people in this place. These people are our neighbors. We are acquainted with them. We will wait a little while and see what effect your preaching has upon them. If we find it does them good and makes them honest and less disposed to cheat us, we will then consider again becoming Christians.
See that? They said, go ahead and preach, right? If we can see the fruits of righteousness in these people, then we will become Christians too. So we're going to wait. Guess what? They're still waiting. They're still waiting because there's no fruits of righteousness amongst these people. Let's get this feast right.
Same thing I talked about earlier.
We do not want churches because they will teach us to quarrel about God.
We do not want churches because they will teach us to do what?
Quarrel about God.
Quarrel about God.
Exactly.
Isn't that what we find about our people?
Quarrel about God.
Quarreling about what's the name of the Most High.
Exactly
is it
what
this
the problem
or
is.
is it that? Should I be baptized or not? It's a bunch of nonsense going back and forth.
That's the problem.
Quarreling about the Most High's book. Read.
As the Catholics and Protestants do. We do not want to learn that. We may quarrel with men sometimes about things on this earth.
You see that? Didn't Sirach say
about
the things on this earth were just given to us? Deuteronomy said that too. But the things that is in heaven belongs to the Most High. Read it again, son.
We may quarrel with men sometimes about things on this earth.
Read.
But we never quarrel about God. We do not want to learn that.
See that? Because they understand that they're not in heaven. You can't quarrel about something you have never seen before. Have the Most High spoken to any of you all?
Some of our chiefs make the claim that the land belongs to us. It is not what the Great Spirit told me. He told me that the lands belong to him.
He's the one that owns the land. Read.
That no people owns the land.
Mike,
I was not going to forget to tell this to the white people when I met them in council.
Read.
No tribe has the right to sell, even to each other, much less to strangers. Sell a country? Why not sell the air, the great sea, as well as the earth? Didn't the Great Spirit make them all for the use of his children?
Exactly.
So there are very smart people saying that how you can't sell something that was given to us.
For real.
It's not ours to sell.
That may I try
He
to
gave us
explain to
all
these
of this
people
for our children so we can have life. But the white man will come in, the Gentiles will come in, and they will say, no, 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 we're going to put this road here, put up these signs, this is government, federal lands, and all these different things.
Only
and we're
gain them
restricted.
always I think about for gain
And the only
and
places
get
we can
things
go
and get
is to
more
work.
things. Well, I mean,
Have you ever noticed that they never stop us from
no meditation.
They never stop us from paying taxes.
Oh,
You never see a sign.
my daughter calling me. I got to go. Korean, big up yourself. Never cut my daughter call me.
You can't go.
Blessed love people, this might be the last life we met. John.
On this land, there is a great deal of timber.
A lot of wood.